We provide a supportive learning experience in which our members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in a greater confidence and personal growth. Leadership Speak is a premier club of experienced Toastmasters to become better self-directed leaders. We are an advanced club focused primarily on leadership development in everything we do. Our timer has a virtual hand raised so we can all immediately see who is keeping the time. Our Toastmaster for today is Leya Musunga.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests. Welcome to Leadership Speak. Our club is made up with over 60 members from 29 different countries and various different time zones. Everything we do in this club is through the lens of leadership. That's hence our name, Leadership Speak. Today, March the 8th, marks International Women's Day, a day celebrated in many countries around the world, where women are recognized in their social, economical, cultural, and political achievements. It's both a celebration and a sobering reminder that equity and opportunity are still beyond the reach of many women. Women play an interesting role in leadership in Toastmasters. Although women were not admitted in Toastmasters for the first 50 years, they were only admitted in 1973, and the first female president happened almost 60 years later in 1985. They are quickly making up for it. Currently in 2025, 4 out of the 5 top board directors, the executive, are women, and none were born in Northern America. Did you know that our current international president-elect, Aleta Russia, will be the first international president from Africa? She finds this as an incredible and exciting opportunity and hopes will encourage others to see leadership as something that they can pursue even on an international stage. Unlike in Toastmasters, where women are thriving, they remain underrepresented in many critical fields. For example, in technology, progress is moving slowly while the world is advancing rapidly. It is vital that we speed up change, which is why this year's theme calls us to accelerate change. Today, we celebrate the leaders among us, those who inspire, motivate, and challenge us to be our best. I want to invite you, our guests, to sit back and relax. We'll chat with you later towards the end. There will be a link for our guest book in the chat that will be shared. Please feel free to fill it up and let us know how we are doing. So let's make the next few hours a celebration of leadership in action. Our meeting will be divided in two parts. We'll have the first session where speeches will be presented, and then we will have the evaluation session where we receive feedback for the speeches. As our club is an advanced club, we don't have table topics. But before we get right into that, I would like to invite to come and give us the toast of the day, Hannah. So Hannah, if you could please come and give us the toast. Hi, Hannah. You may go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster of the Day. Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome you to today's meeting celebrating International Women's Day. And this meeting is entirely led by women. We acknowledge Michelle Obama's inspirational words. There is no limit to what we as women can accomplish. Yes, the power inside us is limitless. Throughout history, women have shattered barriers, redefined possibilities, and shown that resilience, vision, and determination are not just limited by gender. Women like Wangari Maathai, a Nobel Peace Prize laureate, cultivated more than just trees. She nurtured resilience. Through the Green Belt movement, she empowered communities, championed environmental conservation, and demonstrated that true leadership is about accelerating action, not just words. Hedy Lamarr, known as a Hollywood icon, she was a visionary leader who accomplished action through ingenuity and bold thinking. She co-developed frequency hopping technology, a breakthrough that became the foundation of Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and the GPS. Our own Helen Blanchard, as mentioned by the Toastmaster, a trailblazer in her own right. She broke barriers as the first female president of Toastmasters International by intentionally accelerating her leadership efforts. Her determination helped diversify Toastmasters and created space for more inclusive leadership. Her story continues to inspire those who believe in the power of courage, action, and amplifying voices. Ladies and gentlemen, although we have these excellent inspirational examples that have made significant progress, we must intensify our efforts and accelerate action to ensure that every woman and every child, girl has the opportunity, the respect, the empowerment they deserve to break the barriers, challenge the biases, and create a world where equality is not just an inspiration. No, it is a reality. Let us pledge to be allies, champions, and change makers today and every day. When women rise, we all rise. Ladies and gentlemen, please unmute your videos. Raise your glasses. Open your videos. Let's all celebrate Here's to International Women's Day.
International Women's Day.
Here's to International Women's Day.
Cheers to International Women's Day.
In Africa, we say halala, 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 halala. Thank you so much.
La, la, la.
La 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 la.
Thank you so much, Hannah,
International
for
Women's
that.
Day. Over to you,
Yay.
Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you. Thank you, Hannah, for that. We'll then move on to our timer. Nicole, if you could please tell us about your role today.
Wow. Good day, fellow Toastmasters. My name is Nicole, your timer today. I shall time you according to the times on the agenda. After each session, I shall post them in the chat box. I will flash my card like this. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you so much. Quick and fast. Thank you so much. And her hand is raised as indicated earlier. So her video is always first in the screen. We'll then move on to Nelly, who will be our grammarian. If you could please come and tell us about your role today.
As the grammarian, I will be responsible to pay close attention to all speakers, listening carefully to their language usage. I will take note of any improper language as well as any outstanding words, quotes, saying, and thoughts. As a grammarian, it is my duty to introduce the word of the day. The word of the day today is trailblazer. It is a noun meaning a person who is first to do something, an innovator. Examples in a sentence: Estee Lauder was the trailblazer who started a cosmetic company. Another example, Rana is a trailblazer. She was the first distinguished Toastmaster in East Africa. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you so much for that. And we encourage all the speakers who come to the virtual stage to use the word of the day, trailblazer. I'm sure there are so many examples you can use. I just thought of one I remembered when I saw the example regarding our club leadership speak. So I'll use one person. I'll say, Jyothi was a trailblazer by completing over 10 levels last year. So I want to see who the next trailblazer will be in leadership speak for this year as a female. Let's go and see. So with that being said, as stated, our theme for today is accelerating action through leadership. So we're going to get into our first speech, which is a leadership speak. So this is an extended speak for almost 20 minutes. And our speaker for the day is Rozy Rana. But before Rozy gives us her presentation, would like to invite her evaluator to please come and give us the speech objectives.
Thank you so much. Championing change. I love that. I know I'm not supposed to give the title away, but you know, Rozy, you are a trailblazer. And today we're looking at the keynote speech from Motivational Strategies Level 5, Prepare to Speak Professionally, and that's 18 to 22 minutes. So that makes it the keynote. You're going to exemplify the point of view or the message that you would like to convey as a professional level speaker. Just as an extra, when you're watching everyone, Rozy wants to know how she's keeping the audience interest, whether she's connecting, speak on her delivery style, and she is using some visuals as well. Do they hold interest or do they lose you a little bit? Back to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you so much, Sandra, for that. And Rozy, just before you get into your speech, maybe you can just tell our audience, where are you joining us from?
Thank you, Leya. I'm joining you from Kenya, from Nairobi.
Oh, that's amazing. Oh, I forgot to tell people, I'm actually joining you all from Gaborone, Botswana. So when I said there are over 29 clubs in this club, and over 29 countries in this club, I am really serious. We are all from all over the place. So with the speech title, Championing Change, the Future Won't Wait, Rozy, you may take the virtual stage.
Thank you. Fellow Toastmasters, ladies and gentlemen, March is a very special month. The reason it's a special month is because every year on March the 8th, and this started back in the early 1900s, we celebrate International Women's Day, a day when women started to talk about and ask and demand for their rights. They wanted equality. They wanted better working conditions. They wanted suffrage rights or the right to vote. This has been continuing for a while. Each year on March 8th, we stop to take stock. We recognize, we celebrate the achievements of women. We celebrate achievements of trailblazers, and we hope that those trailblazers can be models for everyone else. At Leadership Speak, a club where everyone is a self-directed leader, we champion change. We are encouraging these women because we have so many trailblazers among us. Therefore, each year we have a woman-led meeting. The ladies you see on the picture will be leading today's session, and each one will stand up and shout out for accelerating action. And that is the theme for this year. And one asks, why accelerating change? After all, don't we think women have made great strides? Do we really need to speed it up? There has been progress, there is no doubt. So let's stop, take a moment to understand why it is that this is the theme that has been chosen. The World Economic Forum each year for the last 18 years does a survey on the gender gaps. They look at 4 categories. They look at economic participation, education attainment, health and survival, and political empowerment. It's quite interesting to see that women have more or less closed the gap. They are give or take 94, 95, 96% equal to men when it comes to educational attainment, when it comes to receiving health services, when it comes to their survival rates. That means we are doing very well in those areas. When it comes to economic participation and opportunity in the workplace, in the labor lines, there the gap is a bit bigger because it's only about 60% close, 60.5. In the political sphere, we're lagging behind, 22.5%. Now, the big thing or the big point of note is that the rate of progress over the years in these areas has been extremely slow. It does go to say that, hey, women get education. We are allowing ourselves to upskill. We are getting opportunities. There is very little discrimination there. So why is it that when it comes to the workplace, this is not quite the case? Why is it that when it comes to political leadership, this is not the case? In fact, the World Economic Forum found that there was barely minute movements in those areas in this year vis-a-vis last year. Political leadership, slightly more, but economic participation was almost stagnant. If you're interested in your different regions, well, of course, what I shared earlier were aggregate averages. You can see on the table in front of you, and I'm happy to share the slides later, give or take where every region falls. So there's big variation, but no doubt women have pretty much closed the gap when it comes to being educated, being skilled. And Toastmasters is a very good example where we do see that women are being empowered. So what's happening at the workplace? And this is why we're asking to accelerate change, especially in those. When it comes to the economic sphere again, the pay gaps are wide. There's been barely any movement. And I say wide, but it means that for every dollar that a man receives, a woman receives, depending on the region, anywhere between 80 to 88 cents for every dollar a man receives. It shouldn't be the case. We should be equal. How many countries have laws in this regard? So there are countries that have put into place laws to make sure that women can have a voice. Not many women will raise their voice, but we can see that Europe leads in that. All across the world, a lot is yet to be done and much is still desired. So if we look at the gender gaps by index when it comes to the 4 categories, we can see that it is very, very important that in the coming years, we focus on economic participation and we focus on political empowerment and maintain the momentum when it comes to education and health. So hence this theme, accelerating change. Women, as they get opportunities, clearly there are more women in entry-level positions. Also in senior positions, 40–45%, it's fine. But when we get to upper in the hierarchies in the workplace, there are less and less women. And in the C-suite, we are at 25–26%. If you look at the countries, definitely, and this is across all categories, well, some countries are doing extremely well. Iceland, Finland, they are 87–93% close to men. So in other words, the gap is closing. This survey only took 146 countries that were willing to participate. And we can see countries like Chad, Pakistan, Sudan, they're at 57%. So the gap has a long way to close. So ladies and gentlemen, according to the World Economic Forum, what they say is at the rate these 2 categories are moving, it will take, I find this hard to believe, but it will take another 133 years for this gap to be closed, for equity to be achieved. So it means it will be 2158 before equity is achieved. And they're particularly concerned because women in leadership positions are around 20%. When it comes to categories or industries that are driving the future, technology, AI, you're looking at women in AI in senior leadership at barely 26%. This means none of us will see equity if we continue at this rate. No, we can't afford that. We must accelerate change so that we see it in our time. We don't want to come or have another generation and another generation, or I don't want to have to reincarnate to see equity. We must accelerate change. So let's look at what are these barriers that are making it so difficult for women to get equity when it comes to economic participation or when it comes to being recognized in the political sphere to take leadership. Well, it's the same thing we've been harping on. Number one is the social conditioning and stereotyping. For a long, long, long time, a woman's place has been at the home, in the kitchen. There's less acceptance in her taking leadership. Sometimes it's more that the men should be the bread earners. In fact, it makes it very difficult for men to accept that the woman will be leading at the house. So we need to kill the stereotypes. And I like to share my story. I feel fortunate that I have climbed the ladder and I am in the C-suite. I look at myself and I remember that when I was born in the village of Musunga, for me, I just expected that life would take a linear path. I would begin first from schooling. I would then move, possibly get a job if I got a job, but more very importantly, the focus would be on getting married. Thereafter, getting children. If my family had, my husband's family, that is to say, had a business, I could possibly get into business. If they allowed me, I could work. But at no time did I imagine that I would continue with the career that I have. And this was all because of the culture, because of social conditioning. I feel fortunate that I am where I am, but it didn't happen by accident. It happened circumstantially. It happened because by that time, by the time I was getting married, and this is not a story I like to share, but the truth is, I was at that time successful and my husband wasn't. We needed the funds, we needed the lifestyle, we needed the income, and therefore it just made sense that I continued. And perhaps it's fortunate that as I progressed, I got promoted in the workplace and I am where I am. But had I listened to the voices, I wouldn't be. But it's not only about women. My husband encouraged me. Today in our club, we have so many men who are behind us, who are pushing us, who are encouraging us. I share with you on the screen a certain application. We, the Kenyans, or a few of the Kenyans who are in Leadership Speak, set up a group because this group were comprised of individuals who came to visit me at Doman's. We shared some photos in Leadership Speak. We started this year by saying we will be more sporty. Now, again, the woman's place was not seen as sporty, but the men in our group encourage us. So every day, at the end of the day, we look at the steps that everyone has taken. And ladies and gentlemen, just look at that. Irene, give or take, is at 15,000. Lydiah, 8,300. But best of all, the men in our group. I mean, we all know Baron is the sportsman, but what do? They encourage us. They keep saying, hey, you're doing great. What have you done to achieve 15,000 steps, Irene? Lydiah, you're doing amazing. And that's what we need. We need encouragement, because it is through encouragement that we will get into the areas, into those regions where women need to bridge that gap faster. So I commend the men in this group who continue to encourage the women. The second challenge is the famous imposter syndrome. As I took promotions, I had been working at Doman's for 20 years. Tenacity and grit had seen me climb the ladder. I had gone from being a PA to an admin assistant. I had gone into human resources and even become the CFO. But I never imagined that I could be a managing director. Why? Because I was a woman. Secondly, because I thought I was not good enough. Do you feel that you are not good enough? Well, this is what is so special about Leadership Speak, because the men here, and starting from our President Brahm, always makes sure that the women know that we are good enough. We are trailblazers. We can take bold steps. Every so often, he carries out this training. He makes sure women are empowered. He makes sure women take leadership positions. It is leaders like those that exist here at Leadership Speak that are there that will help us move forward through the hierarchies, even in the workplace. The third barrier has been said to be a lack of role models. But you know, that was a problem of the past. We have so many role models when you look at it. Look at the political sphere. I mean, the first prime minister who took center stage was in Sri Lanka, a place where culture would have created obstacles, yet she persevered and she became the prime minister. We have people in the political space from Wangari Maathai, who in Kenya received a global award. We have Jacinta Ardern. So there are trailblazers. Let them be our role models. If they can and they did it, they've broken those barriers, they've shattered those ceilings. We should look up to them, and it should encourage anyone wishing to climb the political hierarchies that it is possible. Here at Toastmasters, a progressive organization, look at our top 3 at present. Radhi Spear, apart from being our international president, is also blazing the trail when it comes to technology. She is a woman in the C-suite in technology. Aletta, as was said by our Toastmaster of the day, a woman from Africa. She can rule globally. Gauri, again, she is our second vice president, but listen to this. She is an engineer also. So that shows, although there are few women in STEM spaces, that's science, technology, engineering, and maths, we have role models and we can ape them. We can follow them. We can get encouraged. So my dear friends, I ask us all to look at where we have, the strides we have made, and say, this glass ceiling is no longer above. It's right there. We can shatter it. Let's break all these stereotypes. After all, in our space, we have so many who have done it. Let's go, let's make sure we encourage our sisters, our daughters, our mothers to rise and to take space. The space at the table is not just for men. And we are not saying we do it at the expense of men. No, 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 no. We are saying we expand it and get on there as women. Let's silence that self-doubt that comes in our minds. Let's identify mentors. Let's identify role models. And with that, we must use all of that to accelerate change. We shall not wait till 2158. We need to accelerate change now so this happens quicker, because the future belongs to those who dare to lead. And let us, leaders here, let us be the ones who drive it. Back to you.
I wanted to say halala halala, Rozy halala. That's a Southern African thing. Thank you, Rozy, for that. Thank you so much. Indeed, the glass ceiling is there. It's for us to walk through. Thank you so much for your speech. Indeed, as you have stated, many women are trailblazers. We can follow them and achieve and be able to strive to also reach for our goals and what we also want to achieve. Thank you so much for that. We're now going to move on to our speakers for the day. And our first speaker will be Nikhita, and her evaluator is Sabna. If you could please come and tell us the speech objectives of Nikhita's speech. Before you get to that, Sabna, just tell us which country are you joining us from?
I'm joining you from UAE.
UAE, all right. Because I actually was just told a few minutes ago that our club, actually, we don't have members from 29 countries, but from 30 countries. So, yeah, we are trailblazers in this club. You may go ahead, Sabna.
Good evening, everyone, specifically Toastmaster Nikhita. Toastmaster Nikhita, the purpose of this project is to present an established story, a story about speaker's life or a fictional tale of the speaker's own creation. All the best, and over to you, Toastmaster.
Thank you so much for that. And as I said, our speaker is Nikhita. She's right there. And Nikhita, if you could just share with us, where are you joining us from?
I'm joining you from Tarragona, Spain. It's cloudy and rainy.
Wow, wow. Many different time zones, like I had said. So with the speech title, The Dance of Leadership, Nikita.
On busy Tuesday mornings, I always have a one-to-one coaching session with Lydiah. Regardless of how I feel, the coaching session is about Lydiah. So on this particular Tuesday morning, she walks into the studio and I could feel like she's carrying weight. Her face paining from dental work that she has been complaining about for months, that has been causing her discomfort beyond the physical. I invite her to sit down across from me to share with me how her mind, her body, and her spirit is feeling and what it wants to share. She rants about the dentist, and then she mentions briefly some family weight that she's also been carrying. And then she says to me, I'm not feeling in my body today, Nikhita. I don't think I can dance. This is exactly why I am here. To help stagnant energy to move and to be transformed and alchemized. And in this particular moment, I was just grateful that we had both shown up for ourselves, regardless of how unanchored we both felt. We didn't speak much as we usually do, and instead, we jumped right into the therapy. We began with breath work. Now, Lydiah is very comfortable with breath work because it's part of her daily life. And for every session, we always start with a breath. It allows us to come into our bodies and to ground into the space. Our breaths and the energy was moving between us, creating synergy as Lydiah and I took expanding inhales and softening, surrendering exhales. But I always keep my eyes open to observe Lydiah. And as we were breathing, I sensed that her exhales were not fully releasing. Her body was resisting. But I allowed her to continue. I gave her the space to arrive. And I didn't interrupt her process. After a while, I guided Lydiah into movement. And she started unfurling her hand, grand gestures. She was moving her body big, doing cat-cows and going into yoga positions. But every movement she was making kept being interrupted by the next movement and the next movement. And I knew that Lydiah wasn't present, nor was she listening to her body. But I didn't interrupt. I allowed her to keep going. And it came to no surprise when suddenly Lydiah stopped. She opened her eyes and she shook her head and said, it's not working. It's just not working. And my eyes met her eyes, steady and sure. And I said to her, let's begin again. We sat against the wall. Her arms, her palms rested on her body. And I guided her and said, let's bring all our attention to your hands. Where are your hands in space right now? What do they feel like? What's the temperature? What are they touching? Can you bring all your attention to just your hands with all your senses and allow your hands to slowly shift, slowly shift. And then follow the journey. Just stay present with where they want to go. And she was slow, she was tentative. And then her hands moved their way up with unseen patterns towards her heart. And she brushed over her heart. Then her hands moved up to her face. And in this moment, the shift began. I could see expressions of grief, anger. I could see expressions of sadness in her face. They were showing themselves. And even release as she opened her mouth and deeply breathed and exhaled. So for a moment, I kept watching Lydiah in awe, but then I drifted into my own process. And it felt like a second. And when I opened my eyes, she wasn't against the wall anymore. Lydiah had left the wall. She was on the floor, rolling, undulating her hips. She was brushing her hands, washing over her body. Things we can't see with the eyes, but that we can deeply feel. And I kept watching her transformation as she was no longer Lydiah. She was something ancient. Her dance was not controlled. It was not choreographed. It was not careful. Her dance was wild and it was intimate and it was raw. She was having an intimate conversation with herself, with all of her. And then I drifted again. And this time I drifted into the sound that was carrying us through the session. And here on my left ear, I heard a humming. I listened. And it felt like I had to project this humming into the space to support Lydiah's dance. When I opened my eyes, she went full circle. She was back seated, and she had become the dancing alchemista, the dancing alchemist. When Lydiah finished her process, we sat in silence for a while. And then she said to me after some time, I felt a pain in my foot that I didn't know was there. But now everything is gone. And I looked at her and reminded her that we dance to remember, not to forget. She exhaled and then fully, deeply, for the first time that day and in that breath, I knew that Lydiah had found her way back home to herself. This is what Lydiah's journey mirrors about great leaders accelerating action. Great leaders meet people where they are instead of demanding immediate results. They guide, they don't control. They allow others to unfold in their own time. Great leaders lead by example, embodying the change that they wish to see and to inspire. And great leaders, they help others to remember their strength, not to fix them. This story teaches us that action, when it's rushed, it's often chaotic and ineffective. But when action is rooted in deep awareness and alignment, it becomes powerful, sustainable, and transformational. A true leader does not impose movement. A true leader awakens movement. Thank you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you so much for that, Nikhita. We danced to remember. Thank you for sharing the story of Lydiah. We'll then move on to our next speaker, Shanicia, and I'd like to invite her evaluator, Kashif, to please come to the virtual stage and tell us the speech objectives.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster of the Evening, for giving me the virtual floor.
Yes, and
this is
which
Kashfi.
country are you? Oh, Kashfi, sorry, apologies.
Yes,
I realized that
it's absolutely
I should have
fine.
asked. So
No
which
problem at all.
country are you joining us from?
I'm joining you all from Bangladesh. It is a small country in South Asia.
All
So
right.
it's evening over here.
Oh, wow.
Late evening.
Thank you. You may go ahead.
Thank you. So today I have the opportunity to evaluate Toastmaster Shanicia. She'll be presenting her speech from the Pathway Innovative Planning Level 1 Project 2. The purpose of the project is to learn or review basic methods for writing a speech with a defined purpose and to present a well-organized speech on any topic. I know the topic, I'm not going to reveal it. All the best to Toastmaster Shanicia.
All right.
Over to you,
so
Madam
much.
Toastmaster of the Evening.
Thank you. And to you, Shanicia. I hope I'm saying it right. Am I saying it right? No, please tell me how to pronounce it.
Hello all, it's Shanicia.
Shanicia. Oh, all right. My apologies. And
It's
you
okay.
are joining us from which country?
Guyana, Georgetown, Guyana.
All right. Thank you for that. So with the speech title, From Then to Now, Shanicia.
Whatever brings you discomfort is your greatest opportunity for growth. Brian McGill. Toastmasters and friends, have you ever found yourself in an uncomfortable, embarrassing situation that later blossomed into an amazing opportunity for growth? Let me take you back to about 6 years ago when I visited my first Toastmasters meeting, a moment forever etched in my memory. I was invited to that meeting by a member who was a friend. She gave a brief overview of what to expect, and naturally, I was intrigued. One fateful Thursday, unsuspecting Shanicia walked into her first Toastmasters meeting, an encounter that would arguably be one of the most gut-wrenching experiences of her life. As I stepped into the room, I was enveloped by the warm smiles and the inviting gestures from the members. I was completely immersed in the atmosphere. I was soaking up everything like a sponge. The energy in the room was pulsating, and I was completely engrossed in all the prepared speeches and the insights being shared. Man, I was having a ball up until my name was called out of the blue to tackle an impromptu question. My heart stopped, and what was once an exciting ambience quickly transitioned into a whirlwind of nerves and anticipation. With my heart racing and shivers running through my body, it was as if I was glued to my seat, unable to speak or stand. The round of applause I got from the audience slowly worked that blue away and I finally mustered up the courage to stand and approach the lector. While up there, my mind did not hesitate to go blank, and I was at a loss, unable to think clearly or even at all. I could not articulate a simple response to the most straightforward question. After what felt like forever, I was given another round of applause, and they attempted to comfort me by saying that most guests do not even leave their seats when called upon. After I returned to my seat, I was completely embarrassed, and I just wished the ground would open up and take me out of my misery. After this fraught experience, I was at a crossroad where I was once again reminded of how terrified I was of public speaking. I was then faced with two options. One, do I retreat to the cocoon from whence I came? Or two, do I decide to tackle this thing once and for all and take the bull by the horns? While this encounter was embarrassing and uncomfortable, it could have resulted in me shunning Toastmasters altogether and never looking back. On the other hand, I decided to use a different approach, one where I would focus on the growth opportunities present rather than the temporary discomfort I was feeling. As such, I decided to take that bull by the horns, as I decided I could no longer continue living like this. That encounter re-emphasized the need to overcome this fear, and I decided to join that Toastmasters Club so that I can be adequately prepared for whenever speaking opportunities inevitably presented themselves. Back then, I had a nerve-wracking encounter that could have gone in either direction. Now, I'm happy to report that the growth I've experienced since becoming a member is unlike any other. That encounter was truly a defining moment for me that ultimately altered the course I was on for the better. In the club, I was able to gain my confidence and find my voice. Can you believe the person who was glued to their seats, who could not articulate a thought to the simplest question, was participating in a table topics contest a few months after that encounter? Well, I certainly did. And while I did not place in that contest, I was able to learn and grow from it and use it as a stepping stone in my journey as a Toastmaster. I was also able to be encouraged, and as this served as proof of the growth I've experienced, and it allowed me to immerse myself further into my journey. And this allowed me to take up more roles at meetings and serve as an officer in various capacities. Now, I may not be where I want to be just yet, but I'm happy to report that I'm certainly not where I used to be. And I continue to grow every day with every meeting, every role taken up, every speech, so that I can be one step closer to where I want to be. As leaders, you may find yourself in situations that are embarrassing or you may find uncomfortable. However, I want to implore you today to focus on the growth opportunities that may be present rather than that temporary discomfort you may be feeling. I also want to encourage you to take those small steps little by little. With every small step taken, you're one step away from where you used to be and one step closer to where you want to be. This will afford you the opportunity to look back, like I am doing now, to reflect on the growth you would have experienced thus far. Toastmasters and guests, what will your then versus now story sound like? Despite any discomfort you may experience, I trust it is one riddled with many growth opportunities. Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you so much for that, Shanicia. and reminding us the then and now. I'm sure all of us, as we were listening to that, we were thinking of where we were before and where we are now. And it's so amazing how the Toastmasters environment allows you to grow as a speaker. I just want to remind our guests, there will be a link posted in the chat for our guest book. Please feel free to fill it in and we will chat with you at the end of the meeting. And another thing, I hope you are listening very well to the speeches, as there will be a point where we will be then voting for the best effort speaker. So listen well so you can vote for your best effort speaker. And over the past couple of minutes, I've been asking our members what countries they come from. I hope you have been listening well. I want to see who will be first in the chat to write down the 6 countries we have heard of so far. Remember, our club, we have people from 30 countries. So far, I've heard of 6 countries so far. I want to see who will be able to write that in the chat. Okay, so we're going to move on to our next speaker, and that is Angela. And Angela is being evaluated by Gerda. Ooh, I can see something's happening in the chat. All right. And Gerda, where are you joining us today?
I'm joining from Canada.
Canada. All right. All right, you can go ahead and give us Angela's speech objective.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the Day. The purpose of this project is for the member to practice using vocal variety or body language to enhance her speech. This is, of course, a 5 to 7 minute speech. Back to you.
Thank you so much. And we'll move on to our next speaker, Angela. And Angela, you are joining us from which country?
Canada.
Canada. Oh, another Canadian. You guys are neighbors. All right. And with the speech title, More Than Enough, Embrace Imperfection. More Than Enough, Embrace Imperfection. Angela, take the virtual stage.
Okay. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, guests and fellow Toastmasters. Maya Angelou said, "You alone are enough. You have nothing to prove to anybody." But let's be honest. How many of us really believe that? How many of us have felt that no matter what we do, we're just not good enough? Well, I've been a member of that club for a very long time. When I was born, I was a very sick baby. I had 3 holes in my heart. The doctors told my mom that I would not survive. Surprise! Here I am. As a child, my illnesses prevented me from doing a lot of things that other children could do. For example, ride a bike. Nope. Go swimming. Nope. Go outside and play tag with your friends. Nope. When I was 8 years old, I weighed, when I was 8 years old, I weighed 36 pounds and I was 3 feet 6 inches. I was basically the height of a coat rack. In school, the children were very cruel. They would call me names like dwarf, midget. They would say, "Go back to kindergarten." Well, I can say that they were very creative. They must have dig deep into their imaginations to come up with those names. At home, things were not much better. I grew up in Jamaica with my grandmother, and along with my sister and my cousin. They would often play games that they know that I would never win, like tag, hopscotch. One day they said, "We think you would be good at hide and seek." Finally, something that I will be good at. So I said, okay. I hid for a very long time. Well, turns out they forgot to come and find me. As I grew older, after two open heart surgeries, I thought things would be a lot better, but wasn't much better. There were some things that I was able to do. However, my mom was so scared of me getting hurt that she basically wouldn't allow me to do anything. Riding a bike, still a no. Going swimming, no. Going outside and playing with my friends, definitely not. What if I tripped and fell over a pebble? It was just always being alone. Then as I grew older, I realized that being enough is not about what you can do physically, what you can or cannot do physically. It was about showing up, doing the best you can, and finding a little laughter in your life. As I grew older, I also came to a few other conclusions. Life is not perfect. You will never be perfect. We need to embrace who we are. Embrace the challenges that we have and love ourselves. I stand here today to tell you we are all enough. As Maya Angelou said, you are enough and you have nothing to prove to anybody. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, Angela, for that. Indeed, you are enough. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us. Again, I just want to remind our guests that there is a link in the chat for you to fill in our guest book, because I saw our chat was really alive going there. You might have missed it. So in case you did, it is right there in the chat. And we'll then move on to our final speaker of the day, and that is Lydiah, who will be evaluated by Jessica. So Jessica, if you could come and tell us Lydiah's speech objectives.
Thank
Hi,
you,
Jessica.
Madam Toastmaster of the Day. I am joining you from a very actually sunny Belfast, Northern Ireland.
All right. You may go ahead and tell us the speech objectives of Lydiah's speech.
Okay. Lydiah is doing Dynamic Leadership Path Level 3. The project is Make Connections Through Networking. And the purpose of her speech is for her to develop and practice a personal strategy for building connection through networking, or to share some aspect of networking. Over to you, Madam Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you so much for that. And Lydiah, you are joining us from which country?
I'm joining you from Kenya.
Another Kenyan on the call with the speech title, Dream Big, Lydiah.
Tim Sanders, former executive from Yahoo, said, "Your network is your net worth," which is very true. Your network is your net worth, simply because when you look at your network, if at all you owe more than you own, then your network is negative. And when it is positive, it is when you own more than you owe. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, the ladies in the room, happy International Women's Day. Let me quote a speaker yesterday in our celebration for the International Women's Day, who said, "What a woman can do, the next woman can do better." The ladies in the room, I request you to unmute yourself and tell the woman you're seeing on the screen that what I can do, you can do better. Can we
What
say
I can
together?
do,
What I
you can do better.
What I can do that you can do better.
Thank you very much. As we celebrate the International Women's Day, let us reflect ourselves and ask ourselves, what is our net worth? Because when you dream big, then you achieve more. Because the secret to achieving your dream is by having good network. Some 2 years back, I attended a meeting that had senior women. I sat next to a lawyer and we started chatting. And the problems of women, they are the same, regardless of your rank. We shared and became friends. Then the following day, when you're having lunch, I shared some stories with a woman politician. And she also shared hers. And we clicked, we became friends. As I'm talking to you, are very good friends, a lawyer and a politician, through the networking. And I started dreaming big when I was young. When I saw the first meeting of women in Beijing, I looked at those women. They looked empowered. And I told myself, when I grow up, that is what I'll want to be. I'll want to be an empowered woman. Because where I was growing up, the women that were around me were women who most of the time they were doing manual work. They wear 3 hats. The first one, as a mother, you take care of the family, take care of the children, and everyone in the family. Number 2, they were caregivers. Anyone sick in the family, it's a woman who was taking those responsibilities. Number 3, community. Those many years, there was so much work for the community. And I used to see women going to do that work. And what clicked in my mind, I told myself, when I grow up, I want to change myself from doing this manual work to doing something that I feel I am empowered. What did I do? The dreaming big. I had to work hard to be who I am. And as we're celebrating the International Women's Day, we have some women who are trailblazers. Let us start with the first one, Oprah Winfrey. She became a superstar through media by telling her stories. She has saved many lives because of her stories that she has been telling on the media. Number 2, we have a very young woman from Pakistan called Malala Yousafzai. That girl, at 17 years old, she got a Nobel Prize. The reason why she got that prize was she was against the Taliban, who did not want to see a girl going to school, and she wanted to go to school. So she was very vocal about education for girls. And that is how she got that Nobel Prize at the age of 17 years. What are the key takeaways? As women, let us pull one another. Because the women who are in this call, what we know and what has made us to be where we are, there are so many challenges we've gone through. If at all each of us gets one girl and takes that girl through how that girl is supposed to be in future, that girl will be better than you. What we said, what I am, another woman can be a better woman. Let us challenge ourselves because, as Rana said from her statistics, that it will take us 133 years to close the gap. Meaning, we have to champion, we have to do something by encouraging our girls to dream big and actualize their dream through networking. And when we are there for one another, we continue dreaming big and continue networking, we will change the gap. Thank you, and back to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Yes, continue to dream big as we strive to be trailblazers. Thank you so much, Lydia, for that speech. And at this point, I'd like to invite our timer to please put the timing for our speakers in the chat. And like remember, I had told you, listen very well to the speeches. If the Zoom master could please also launch the poll for voting for the best speaker. And once again, just want to invite our guests to complete our guest book, which will be shared in the chat. And here is my answer to sorry. I previously asked a question, how many countries had been mentioned? Sorry, just trying to close that on my screen. How many countries had been mentioned at that time? And the one person who seemed to have listed them all in one message was Brigitte. I hope I'm pronouncing the name correctly. So I just want to say halala, 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 Brigitte, halala, halala. You got that right. But so far this evening, we have heard from our speakers, and I think they hail from, 12, 13 countries, if I'm not mistaken. So indeed, today is International Women's Day because there are women who are international. So an amazing space to be. You can clearly go out and say, I celebrated with women internationally. That is definitely the truth. You can say that to people. So we'll then move on to our next segment of the meeting, which is the evaluation session. And I would like to invite our general evaluator to chair the session, and that is Jyothi Thomas.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster of the Day. Exactly like what was said, what I could do, you can do better. With that being said, we are at Leadership Speak, evaluation. We sharpen it meeting after meeting, and it is a tool for accelerated growth. That being said, today, we will be harnessing, not just showing how we work accelerated as leaders, but also bringing in critical thinking, completely trailblazer indeed, each and every one of us here. Well, I would like to start. First, we have the evaluation of Hannah Schmitz, who raised the toast. It will be evaluated by none other than our very own Deborah Walker, who believes great strides in leadership and will continue to keep doing so. May I request Deborah to give the evaluation, please.
Thank you very much, Madam General Evaluator. Hannah, it is my pleasure to evaluate you today on your toast, and I do have a challenge for you. Yes, I do. To start off with, your toast actually lined up both with the theme of the meeting, which was accelerating action and leadership, and it also lined up with International Women's Day. Very well done on crafting the content of your toast in such a way that it lined up with both of those themes. And with respect to the content in your toast, it was very good, very well crafted, the words very well chosen. Loved the Michelle Obama quote that you mentioned at the beginning. Very well done. A couple things that you can work on for future is, instead of starting with your toast, you began with, "Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, ladies and gentlemen." I would challenge you next time to actually leave all of that to the side, jump right into your toast. Start it off with a bang. And then a little piece of homework for you is your hand gestures were quite repetitive. And at some point, they also get a little cut off on the camera. I would encourage you that once the recording of today's meeting has been posted, watch the recording with the sound off and just watch your hand gestures and consider what adjustments that you may want to make in the future. Now for the challenge. As I mentioned earlier, the content was very well crafted, but it needed more time to internalize it, to get it from here to here. As we all know, being on camera is like being under a microscope. Every little thing shows. And I could really tell that you were looking at your notes. And at times it did appear as though we were actually reading off of the notes. This affects the delivery. So what my invitation for you is for you to actually still work on this, because a toast is a little mini speech almost. So you're not working on a 5 to 7 minute speech, you're working on something that's 2 to 3 minutes. Why not spend a bit of time working on internalizing the delivery? Then record yourself having done the delivery right from here without needing to use any notes, where it's fully internalized. And then compare that recording to the recording of today. Look at the little differences, the different nuances that you will see. Overall, very good content. It fit with the theme of the meeting. It fit with International Women's Day. Little piece of homework. Watch the recording with the sound off to become more aware of the hand gestures, and then invited to still work on this. Internalize that delivery, record it, and then rewatch it. And I wish you the best. I think there's lots of little tiny tidbits and opportunities for learning here that will serve you very well in the future for your future presentations. Back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Wow. Now, how can we deny leadership and speak is not world class? You just saw, Deborah, that was so beautifully brought out. And I love the way you started off with, "I have a challenge for you." It was a challenge, and you brought it out so well, where it was very respectful, sensitive, and you very interestingly also gave options towards the end, how Hannah could have done that. I think it was very well done. The observation was bang on, and thank you so much for that. Now moving on to our next speaker. The Toastmaster of the Day will be evaluated by our very own, the lady who has this big smile, a huge heart, who believes in acceleration, none other than Youthly Joseph. Over to you.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator, Toastmaster Leya. I really enjoyed the meeting. It was engaged. And when you were calling the members, it was so smooth. The transition from one member to another one, from one part to another one, were so smooth. And at the beginning, you set the tone. You had a big smile. you were positive, and you had a vibrant energy. It's like you take all of us, you brought us with you to come and be in the meeting. You were in the meeting, you were present, not just physically. You were looking at the chat, you were with the members, you were really in the meeting. That make me, as in the audience, you make me feel that I have to be in the meeting with you. That was wonderful. And in your introduction as Toastmaster of the Day, you had some powerful sentences. You make researches regarding women's leadership, especially in Toastmasters International. And you were engaged with all the members throughout the meeting. And you look great as well. You encourage us during the week to wear some particular colors, purple, white, green. That was good for the days as we are celebrating the International Women's Rights Day. And you wear your green and you look great. After all speakers, you did a wrap up as well. That shows that you were paying attention to the speakers and the and for the WhatsApp group for the preparation of the meeting. The group was ready since February 19, almost a month before this meeting. You had your group ready and sharing messages with all of the members and encourage them to accept their role on Easy Speak. You did some follow-up with the members, and you had a great job. The only thing that I would like you to work on is it's like the Zoom presence. I feel that you had a lot of hand gestures, but we did not see any of them. So the way that you were standing in front of the camera, I don't know, you can put it a little further so that we can see or we can appreciate all your body language. Other than that, great speech, great meeting. I enjoy it. Back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you very much. Usually, despite being busy, today you proved you were quietly watching what was happening behind the screen. And I think that's so important, the observation of how Toastmaster of the Day, Leya, was able to bring the group together, talk about how we're going to be, the presence of bringing things, keeping us together when it was started. So that's something which, when you're quiet, we don't know you're watching. And the suggestion you did say is, yes, she kept the entire audience glued in. And you noticed she was also reading through the chat. Very good observation. A key observation again, while you're so busy doing that, yes, Leya, I think the Zoom presence or the framing, like we would call it here, Brahma is saying, framing is key. And I think that's a very good suggestion. Thank you very much. And now we come on to other than interest, important part of the evaluations as we move on is the educational speaker, the leadership speaker. Rozy Rana's speech will be evaluated by Sandra Valks. Acceleration, action through leadership. She just feels leaders model the way of being a ladder, and she truly does that. She directs very sensitively and encourages both autonomy and dignity. Thank you very much. And over to my evaluator for Rozy's speech, Sandra. DTM Sandra.
Wow, thank you. Thank you so much. I am just absolutely thrilled to be evaluating our Trailblazer here, Rozy, championing change. And there's never been a time when she has not been championing change. That's quite a word to get around. The future won't wait. And I believe this was a beautifully motivational speech that really brought it home to us. The future will not wait, and we will not wait. We're in here, we're climbing all the time to improve, and we don't have to battle our way there. We are enough. We just need to learn to be ourselves and enjoy that. That was the message I was getting. Now, you asked me also to comment, Rozy, on keeping audience interest and connecting and how your delivery style went, because you really did use a lot of relevant research and visuals. I loved how your PowerPoint gave half of the screen to you. So there was, you know, when we have just that little space, it's hard to see, and you had half of it. So this is very critical work with the PowerPoint to be half of the screen, not some little piece in the corner, in my opinion. You opened us up with a lovely opening with the historical background of International Women's Day. I remember the women being locked into the workhouse doing all the work, and the fire, you know, they were all burned in the fire because they couldn't get out, you know, and so the working conditions, the voting rights, we have to recognize that we are on the shoulders of great trailblazers before us. And that's what you brought out, especially with all those slides where you did have the activists and the visuals for us there. Accelerating change, shouting it out. Now, looking into the challenges for me, you had a lot of charts, which were a lot of graphs. I don't know how many there were, but I wasn't expecting that. And then I had to go and adjust to make it bigger so I could see. And so in that process, I think I would have caught them easier if you had been able to speak to the title and take the moment just to very quickly say, you know, down the side, the countries, and over here, you want to see these numbers. It would have helped me focus. I just didn't have time. So by the time you'd gotten to the third or fourth or fifth one, I'm recognizing, okay, Sandra, look at the title to see which chart it is. It was just a lot of numbers. And yes, it's research that we needed, but it was a lot of numbers for me to deal with to get them. So the title and the counter, C-suite 25%, congratulations, because that gives us a focus here of who needs us to help them find themselves as well. It was beautiful. The Venn chart, that was the first one you came to, and I posted it in the chat that this was my favorite post, because after all those heavy graphics, all of a sudden I had something I could look and grasp. And our PowerPoints have to be almost like the billboard. When you're driving by, you've got like 15 seconds to see what's on the billboard. That's it. And I loved your stories. You had several stories from your childhood to being sporty. I loved that. And then dealing with the imposter syndrome. Here you are, Ms. Rozy, Trailblazer, C-suite, top 25%, way on up above that, I would imagine, and really drawing us in to know we are good enough. Great slides with the activists, the motivation that came. Your ending was beautiful. You really gave us heart to get over ourselves, celebrate, be powerful, break the stereotypes, take a space at the table, expand, and silence those doubts. Thank you so much, Rozy, for a wonderful leadership speak. Thank you. Back to you, Jyothi.
Thank you. That's a trailblazer right there. And I always wonder, for an educational speaker who's prepared so much, and we have a 3 minutes and to bring it all in. So what was it that was very interesting is, Sandra, were you watching our training sessions is what I'm going to ask you, because every time on a Thursday and a Tuesday and during a pro advanced coaching session, there's always our trainer, Brahm, who says, what's the type of speech? Who is it for? Did you mention, and I noticed you started off by saying motivational speech and the message to the audience about the visuals. And that brought a smile to my face. And it was very interesting because you did that at the opening, summarized everything at the end, and also a point when you said the visuals were so good, I was going close, I took a snapshot, I couldn't zoom it in, and I said, oh, wow, thank God we'll have a recording. So that was beautifully done, and thank you very much to our self-directed, awesome evaluators. Now we move on to the other, I can't say first, second, third, but the second speaker, Nikhita, will be evaluated by somebody who comes quietly like the storm with not a noise, Shabnam Saeed. May I request you to evaluate your speakers? Nikhita.
Thank you so much, Madam General Evaluator, President, and Toastmaster Nikhita. Good evening from my side of the world. Toastmaster Nikhita, can I say, I swayed and I danced to your tunes today. There were so many highlights for me when you, first of all, you gave an inspirational speech, and the way the highlights for me were number one, as soon as your friend or your colleague or your subject Lydiah was going into trances, your body was also imitating the same. So for us, I was able to see Lydiah in you. You became her for me. Secondly, the way when you were giving her the session, a therapy session or whatever it was, the way you were speaking, it almost felt like a therapy session for us because it was so soothing. And so it was enchanting almost. Number three, your pace was so calm. The way you speak is so calm and composed. Not even once in a speech of almost 9 minutes, you spoke for 9 minutes and 45 or 35 seconds. Did your pace go upwards or downwards? I mean, it was calm and composed throughout, which is extremely difficult for me because I speak very fast. So that was something that I could learn from your speech today, the way you speak. Now, there are obviously some suggestions from my side based on your requirements, which you gave me earlier. I'll categorize them in two categories. Number one, what I see. I mean, for you, you were concentrating, you wanted to concentrate more on the speech being an online speech or something that you present online, something like that, right? So for that, your laptop was way above. It should be a little lower because it was almost you were looking up. So lower your laptop a little bit so it will be direct and we will be able to see you more. Number two, based on storytelling. Now, for storytelling, there are certain aspects. We need to know who Lydiah is. What is she suffering from right now? And then that connection to the ending of your speech about leadership. These three aspects. If we know who Lydiah is and what she is going through, the entire audience will start feeling what she is feeling, will start enacting what she is going through, and the connection will become. For us, we don't know who she is yet. She is your student or colleague. But had you explained a little bit more about Lydiah, then the tension that she is going through would have transformed to us, would have built, and then you would have given us the solution and it would have been resolved. So from point A on the ground, you would have taken us to the top. And then at that zenith, you would have solved the solution. And towards the end, when you're talking about leadership, for me, it ended with Lydiah. The connection between her story and the part two of leadership was not made very clear. I mean, there has to, why leadership all of a sudden? Why is it reminding us of that? That portion was not clear. So, yes, great content, very good way of speaking. Just adjust your laptop placement. And for storytelling, work on building up the tension, solving it, and explaining your characters to the audience for better connection. All the best and over to you.
That, as always, with a twist. Beautifully said and summarized at the end. The catch was to say, how did it connect with leadership? That, yes. And for me, an observation I would like to make is my heart was pumping when I saw the red blink and I said, oh my God, the time was up. And for a speaker like that, time is essence to watch out. And I said, it's a beautiful speech. And also what I thought, a little information for the evaluator is, why did the sound of the tambura come in? What does it do? Because all of us would have thought, what's that music that's coming in? So a little mention if the speaker had brought in over there to say that it echoes through and gives the stability for everybody who's listening to it. And that was very well said. And thank you very much, Evaluator Shabnam, for it. Now we go on to our speaker, Shanicia. I think I got that right. Who will be evaluated by my neighbor from Bangladesh, Kashifi Ahmed, who is the evaluator. Over to you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Jyothi, for giving me the virtual floor. Toastmaster Shanicia, you know, the structure of a good speech is that you will have to answer a question. That is, when the audience listens to you, what's there in it for them? What's there in it for them? And I think you've answered that question beautifully through your speech. You started off very well with your fear, you built on it, and you showed us how you backed off. Then you again thought, no, I will join the Toastmasters Club, and then how you are evolving. This is the beauty of storytelling. We all go with you through the highs and the lows. Your composed voice and your beautiful adjectives and statements like shivers running through, heart racing, mind didn't hesitate to go blind. It helped us see you vividly through our screen. You had amazing body language. Your transitions were beautiful. And last but not the least, you had a very good call to action at the end. But now let's see your speech as a cake. And let's make the cake a little bit more beautiful by adding a little bit of frosting. First and foremost, Toastmaster Shanicia, whenever we are giving a speech online, we'll have to be careful about our frame. See, if I move my hand on this side, it's cutting off, right? And if I move a bit on this side, it's also cutting off. It's becoming way too blurred. This is what that has happened with you. I could not see a lot of your hand gestures, and a few parts of your body often cut off because of the blurred background. So please be careful about that. You can adjust the blurriness, or before giving the speech, you see yourself, you record yourself, and then you will know where to stand, how much further to move your hands and your body gesture. Now let's come to a very vital part of your speech, which is, I often say, the colors of the frosting, your voice modality. Your volume was perfect. Your tone was very nice, and your facial expressions went great with the tone. But you need to work on your pace and pitch. With pace, I mean that it got a bit, with pitch, I mean that it got a bit monotonous. You need to adjust that. You need to have inflections at the end of your statement, like move your vocal a bit higher, or you can use inflections whenever you're using a verb. For instance, my heart was racing, so the pitch. And then comes the pace. Pace means you need to use pauses. Whenever you are stating something very important or something that is crucial to the message, give a pause. Only then the audience will be able to absorb the information. Other than that, as I told you, your speech was amazing. I enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to listen to more of your speeches. Over to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you very much for that frosting with all the colors, where you brought in voice, the quality of voice, and you said something which we are very keen here at Leadership Speak. Every time we look at the framing. Yes, so week after week, we keep improving, and that was a very good observation. When you mentioned about the pitch, the pause, and the pace was very well observed, and I think I was seeing you here for the first time, and it was very well delivered. Thank you very much, Kashifa, for mentioning and giving how to. It's not just, I saw this, but you also said how it could have been done better. Thank you. Now, we move on to the next speaker, Angela Brown, who will be evaluated by Gerda Felix, who believes it's important as a leader to make sure actions go together, as to lead is to be an example in taking action as well. Over to Toastmaster DTM Gerda.
Angela Brown, a trailblazer of her own path. This was a speech to empower, a speech to inspire. You started with the quote from Maya Angelou. And I believe that you had an opportunity right then for some movements. You did ask a question. Who here can say that you embrace yourself and you accept yourself as you are? Show of hands. That would be the first gesture. You shared with us your journey to who you are. You took a very strong stance as you delivered your speech in one place. I felt the challenges that you had to overcome. Now, to speak about your title, More Than Enough, we could feel that in your speech. You are more than enough. Embracing imperfections. When I hear embracing, I'm expecting joy because we come to acceptance. And that part for me was a miss. You had plenty of opportunity to use body language. For example, when you were told that you were good at hide and seek, hide, that would be a gesture to use. Seek, get off the camera. Another opportunity, going swimming. You said going swimming? No. That's an opportunity for empathic gesture. Going swimming? No. As you can see and hear, I demonstrated also the pace that you could have used as you deliver your speech. There are moments that you could have paused for us to take on everything that you went through. Another gesture to love ourselves, or even put your hand on your heart. Those are the different gestures to use in this speech. I'm talking about gestures because this is exactly what I am to evaluate on. Gestures and body language and vocal variety. You had a pitch that was the same throughout. And I would ask that you change your pitch from high to low as you take us on your journey. What I like the best is that you demonstrated that you have accepted yourself as you are. You have asked us to embrace ourselves because we have nothing to prove. And this was for me the takeaway. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you very much for that. And what I noticed was it was very clearly demonstrated, DTM Gerda, when you just said the use of gestures, vocal variety, body language. It was so good that you brought in to say that is what you were evaluating for. I think that's key. While you mentioned how to go about it and the kind of feelings, I thought what could have been observed was while Angela was speaking, when she said swimming, no, the 3 no's. I noticed, I felt a quiver in her sound, her voice, which brought the emotions and yet holding back to say, I am enough. And I thought that was very powerful, not necessarily had to come out, maybe the stance with them, but excellent suggestions. And that was something which I observed. Thank you very much. And now we will move on to our last evaluator, who will be evaluating Lydiah Wanjiku's speech. May I invite Jessica Mathilata, who believes leaders, especially women, must never shy away from showing up and learning in a leadership table. And that's precisely where we are every time at Leadership Speak. Thank you, and over to you.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. Lydiah's speech was about inspiring women to dream big. And you went ahead and started you started off with a quote, which is, your network is your net worth. And you continue to share that with us and share about how you use networking to meet people who inspired you to dream big. And you ended up with 2 friends, who is a lawyer and a politician. I thought you weaved that nicely in there. And then you went ahead and used the power of 3, highlighting the points of women being mothers, being caregivers, and being community builders. And what I also thought you did well was you involved the audience when you asked us to unmute ourselves. And that could also have been done effectively in people putting that information in a chat. That would have also had the same impact. And when I spoke to you, you asked me to also have a look at your vocal variety. What I felt there sometimes was lacking is when you were speaking, there were moments, especially you making a point where, when I grow up, I want to be empowered. I felt there you could have used your vocal variety a lot better and said, for example, when I grow up, I want to be empowered, emphasizing on the I, which is you, and the action thing that you want being done, which is empowered. And also there was a point where we said the two women you were with inspired you to be someone better. And you said, I want to do something different. I also felt there you could have just said, you changed your voice. You could have changed your voice and said, I want to do something different, because you were walking away from all the traditional roles that you knew or you were exposed to as a child. And I thought some other things that you could work on is your Zoom presence. I think we need to be mindful when, especially online, in terms of our position of the camera. I felt your camera was a little bit low. So in the future, make it so that it's at the top and then we can see you from head down and not from up, from bottom up. So I make that adjustment. And I think to challenge yourself, especially if you want to be listening to your vocal variety, videotape yourself before you come to present. And then play that in 3 different ways. Record yourself, play it with the volume down, just watching all your actions. There you'll see your body language. And then the next time around, play it face down and listen to the audio only. Then you'll be able to hear your vocal variety. You'll be able to listen to use of pitch, pace, melody, tone, and volume, and you'll be able to hear all the use of your filler words. And then the next time, play it whilst you're watching, and then you'll be able to see whether you're coming across the way that you wanted to come across. Based on that, I thought it was a great speech. And then if you do those, then you'll be en route to the better speech in the future. But well done. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jessica, for that. And yes, summarizing it and giving the key points of the pitch and how the tone should be. I would like to just add the particular phrase that Lydia used and made all the audience, all of us repeat was powerful because it's still ringing in my head. What I can do, you can do better. So when we think of that, I think that could have also been emphasized. And it was very well displayed to say, truly what we expect. Yes, we always want more for a self-directed advanced Toastmasters club. Now that brings us to the end of the evaluations, and may I request our timer to post the timings on the chat box, please. Thank you very much for that. And we've also got the poll that's come up. May I request everybody to kindly vote for the best effort evaluator. Thank you very much. Now I would like to invite our grammarian, the Trailblazer, to talk to us about and tell what she observed in today's International Women's Days. Look at all of us beaming in the purple. Thank you. Over to you.
Thank you very much, General Evaluator Jyothi. The word of the day was used by 6 people. Most of the speakers did not use the word, but it was well used, it was well utilized. There was beautiful language that was used. Grand movements, expression of relief, undulating her hips, blossomed into the opportunity of growth. One faithful Thursday, energy in the room, pulsating out of the blue. Take a bull by the horn, adequately prepared. Defining moments. Good quotes, like from Tim Sanders. Your network is your net worth. There was another one, leaders model the way of being a ladder. There was very beautiful and very good, colorful language. However, there were also some words that needed correction. For example, I had somebody referred to spear instead of sphere. Let us reflect on ourselves. When she meant herself. The word Nobel Prize is not as in being noble. It is actually after a name of a person, Alfred Nobel. I think it's pronounced Nobel. Women, let us pull up ourselves. Maybe we could have said, women, let us cooperate. One said, where I grow up. What she should have said is where I grew up. All in all, there was beautiful language. There are not so many mistakes, and the word of the day was used, not by everybody. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster. Madam General Evaluator,
very much,
sorry.
Nelly. Today wouldn't have been very easy for you, and that was so well taken down. Your suggestions, and you all got close to the tenses, pronunciation of the nouns, the names being used. And I'm sure with the time, we know how hard it would have been, but yet we are the Trailblazers. Well, that brings us to the wrap, and we come to the most crucial part of today's session, which is something I would again repeat, we are the Trailblazers, so we have a master evaluation of critical thinking. And may I invite DTM Brahmamon, the founder of our club, who will take it on from here. And over to you, DTM Brahmamon.
General Evaluator, I'm not on the agenda today.
Sorry, but yet I think it just came out of practice. That's what we do here. After all evaluations are giving, we said it's all women's, but yet we are fine with all genders around. Thank you. And I'm going to now give a quick wrap on our report, the before, during, and after. The Toastmaster of the Day's evaluator very clearly said how much of work has gone in and how they started right on time. When I say right on time, at Leadership Speak, we have a very clear milestone, and we make sure a best practice is 2 weeks prior. We have everything ready, and each role player takes the responsibility to do, and I think that went very well. They made sure it was to theme, and we were all connecting between the Toastmaster of the Day and the educational speaker across the time zones. Now, that's the challenge, and I think that went off very, very well. They started on time. We made sure that every speed, though there was a little bit of time excess somewhere, I think we made it up. Observations and evaluations was done the way we expect over here. Evaluations with suggestions was something which we always look forward to, and I think that was done well. With that, we've also got our polls completed. Now, we get prepared for the next 2 weeks. While I call it to say this was a trailblazing session, I would like to now hand it over back to the Toastmaster of the Day, Leya Musunga. Over to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jyothi, for chairing that evaluation session. And thank you so much to all our evaluators, as has been stated. I would now like to invite to the virtual stage, Nokawe, to please give us the thought of the day.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster of the Day. Yes, accelerating action through leadership. As we're celebrating the International Women's Day, we have shown as trailblazers in Leadership Speak that we do not impose towards what needs to be achieved. But what has happened throughout the meeting was that we all led by example. We took action, we pushed boundaries, yes, of course, and driven the real transformation. And with that, we all came together through inspiration and support, as well as driving the meaningful change. We have shown or kept to the theme of today that, of course, we are able to accelerate action through leadership and make things happen. What I have learned, or my take-home message from today's meeting and the theme, is that as women, we will only achieve what we aspire to achieve by taking informed actions and champion the change that we want to see. Yes, we are accelerating action through trailblazing leadership. Thank you. Back to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you so much, Nakawe, for that. And at this point, I would like to ask our Zoom master to please share the results of the polls or the certificates for the polls for today, best speaker, best evaluator. Are they ready or you need more time? There we go. So our best speaker is Rozy Rana. Can you give a big halala, 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 halala. Well done, well done, well done. And then our best evaluator, Sandra. Woo, halala, 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 halala. Well done, Sandra. Well done for that. Okay, thank you so much for that. And at this point, I know on the agenda it says the president guest welcome, but you're saying he's not on. I don't know if he's on the agenda or not on the agenda. But normally this is the time where we
It
welcome
is
the
on the
guest.
agenda.
Okay. So I'd like to welcome our club president, Abraham Mema.
If you will spotlight our Toastmaster of the day, Leya Musunga, as well, please. Thank you so much, Master. Leya, thank you for conducting this meeting and all women's presence. And therefore, I will bow out of this as well, and I will leave it to you to talk to the guests. Make sure you talk to Toastmaster Ehsan Miko, who is from Dhaka, Bangladesh, who's indicated that he would like to join. Over to you, and it's all yours.
All right. Yes, like I said, this is the part where we get to speak to you, our guests, to find out how you found our meeting. Are you ready to join? So I noticed we did have a guest, Toastmaster Miko. I hope you are still on the call. You can just unmute yourself.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Am I audible?
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you. Yes.
Okay. Right now, I am at the boarding gate of a flight to go home to Dhaka, Bangladesh. I was traveling to Thailand for 3 days. And I'm hoping to join your club from the next month. I cannot join in this month. I have too much on the plate. So it would be great if you allow us to continue our journey to a new club like yours. I do meet the requirements, and I hope you will consider it.
Wow, that is definitely great. Someone joining us from Bangladesh. Yes, we are looking forward for you to join us next month, as you stated. Is there anyone who is visiting us today? You want to share with us how you found the meeting?
Leya, let's speak to our guest evaluator, Kashfi Ahmed from Bangladesh as well.
Oh, yes. Our guest evaluator. I forgot we had one. Hello, Kashfi.
Hi, Leya.
Hello. And how was our meeting today?
It was fantastic. There's so much to learn from each and every speaker and each and every role player. And as a Toastmasters, I found out my weak spots and I know where to work on now. Thank you so much.
So are you a member of many clubs, or you can join our club?
Yes, I will be joining your club. Apparently, the person you just spoke before me, Toastmaster Miko, he's the area director of Area B4, District 124. He's my husband, so we both will be joining together next month.
Oh, wow, that's amazing. I have to say halala, halala, halala.
That's great. I love the energy. Thank you so much. I would like to thank Bram for inviting me to the meeting. You know, so much is going on around the world, and this meeting was so refreshing. It has given me hopes for the women around the world and that we can achieve so many things no matter what's going on, what's happening. Despite all the barriers, I know we all can break the glass ceiling. Thank you, ladies.
Yeah, thank you for that indeed. Any other new person or guest? Sorry.
Yes, good morning. Good morning, everyone. Good morning to all the Toastmasters, and a special happy International Women's Day to all the women on. So I was invited by my friend Nicole, who is also a part of this club, and I am really, really grateful for that. The energy in the room is quite potent, and I am really, really enjoying the details of each presentation and my takeaway and how it has really encouraged and empowered me today. And I'm very, very happy that my first time on the team is actually with Women's Day, empowered by these wonderful women. Rozy, she encouraged me this morning to champion change. And as an entrepreneur, I am really, really empowered by that. Taking the bull by the horn and not to wait, just go forth and champion that change. I've been shifted, I've been shifted into a new change, and which I intend to really, really champion this move. Nikhita also grabbed me by saying, dance to leadership. I am a dancer. I love to dance. But how she portrayed dancing into leadership, it's saying to me that go through and enjoy while you go through the process. Just dance through the waves of all the obstacles that might come up on you. Angela also says that when she encourages us, she says that whatever you do, continue to think that you are enough. And that also resonated in me, because going into a new era, you don't know what the challenges are, but just to continue thinking that you are enough will also keep you going. And Lydiah says, dream big. I am here to dream big, to conquer the world, to do whatever I was placed on this earth to accomplish. And so I was just marveled by the energy, and I'm just thanking everyone for sharing, because I really learned a lot. And yes, I will be back. Thank you.
Are you a Toastmaster?
No, I'm not.
Oh, wow. The way you were really listening and taking notes, I can see you were really paying attention to the speakers. I like the fact that you're wearing the colors. Yay.
Yes, I'm actually representing. Thanks.
So hopefully once you join and you've completed level 3, you are welcome to join us here at Leadership Speak.
Thank
you. You know, Leya, you know what I would like to say is she's a guest of Nicole White, and Nicole White has indicated that she's going to join a community club soon because she's an entrepreneur. And I totally encourage Marwa to join a community club as soon as possible. Don't wait, not even a day.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, I don't know if there's any other visitor. Otherwise, looking at our time, I guess then we have come to the end of our meeting for today. So as we celebrate International Women's Day, we celebrate the leaders among us, those who inspire, motivate, and challenge us to be our best selves. We also want to recognize that leadership is a journey, one that requires courage, resilience, and willingness to take risk. Today, we had the opportunity to listen to speeches, engage with one another. So let us continue to embrace leadership in our lives to accelerate action and create meaningful change. At this point, I would like to officially then adjourn today's meeting. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening.
Congratulations, Leya.
La 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 la.